Alright guys, we are under the truck wrapping up some wiring. So I have tail light wiring here. That's what all this stuff is. Just tying it into the Ford factory wiring. This harness here, I know it's not going to come out with the light, but we're going to get back to this in a little while. This is a 7-pin, and you have a separate line or a separate circuit for truck. So that's what this is. And then what I wanted to show you is we have these LEDs, and the LEDs have just a red and a black plug. So if y'all remember when we did the flatbed install, we had some red and black wire that we ran in loom and got it all in the bed. So that these lights came with their own harness. So what we did is they have a little Y where you can plug the left and the right side in. Is it over there? And then we cut it and joined it together here, and up here higher up we tied it into our wire that we ran previously when we did the bed to run it to the front, because the harness that came with the lights didn't have enough room. So we did that there, and I'm not going to walk with you and get y'all dizzy. Let me show y'all what we got on the headache rack. Alright, up here on the headache rack you can see it a little better. So the red and black on the far side, this is all the harness that came with the lights. And then it ties into this side and then drops down, and then it goes into our red and black wire, and that goes further to the front. So that's the middle lights. We're calling these the work lights. The other ones are the backup lights. Same thing right here. We got our fog lights, I guess you call them, in the front. And so we cut the same harness again. We use the factory light harness to plug the two lights together. And then we're just using a little spool of this stuff, which is just, you know, it's a little heavier than we need for LEDs, but it's, you know, nice neat installation. So we got that all run for the high voltage, which is the, you know, on these lights they have a relay. I'll show you in a minute. So we have low voltage to trigger the relay and high voltage to go to the lights. So for the high voltage we're using this wire, which is a little heavy gauge, and then we're using a three-way setup like this with, I don't know what that is, 16 or 18, I'm not sure, probably 16, and this is probably 14, just a little bit bigger. So again, the bigger wire for the relay to the lights carrying the load, the smaller wire from the relays to the switch, which carries low voltage. All right guys, so we got the T-Man right here, and he's got us fixed up with these relays screwed to the firewall. So what we have, I'm going to back up a little bit. So we got ring terminals that's going to supply the relays with battery power, one each, hot in the ground. And then he's taking the red and black wire we got off the spool, and what he's doing right here is he's cutting the switch side, and this has red, white, and black, and this is going to the switches inside. So he's cutting that and splicing in the smaller red, white, and black that we are doing, because we need about 6 more feet, because we're trying to get into the cab from here and into the dash. So anyhow, he's doing a little staggered splice. You can see it right here, kind of cool. He's got the splices staggered, so when you heat shrink them you don't have one big globulation of splices. And he's doing a better job than me, as usual. Alright, so we'll show you when we get into the cab, but this is just 3 times everything, and we're just tying it in. So we just basically made 2 cuts in the factory harness, one after the dual light plug-ins that came, and put our extension in there for the heavy wire, and then we're cutting the plugs off and extending the lighter wire into for the switches. So pretty simple. We'll get into more in the cab here in a minute. We're just getting all these done, and we're going to pull them through the floor through a grommet and loom everything up and zip tie it and make it sexy.
Call it beginner's luck.
Beginner's luck. Tristan said even a blind hog will find an acorn every now and then. No comment. All right. We'll come back to y'all when we got something else to show you in a minute.
Well, guys, this is our #1 circuit. That should be the fog lights, but we're doing this staggered to fit in the loom. And basically, you just want to get you some excess line and overlap them enough to fit 3 butt connectors in. You give yourself a few extra inches, but you start one short side on the far side, and then this would be your longest on this side. Then next we come down, find our next next spot in line and trim them approximately. Like I said, you want to give yourself a little leeway on the safe side, but the hardest part about this process so far is getting this 16 gauge wire and this 18 gauge butt connector, but it's possible. Some gun. I think it fits. Do you remember? Okay guys, so we got our next butt connector in line, and we'll just pull it taut and see where we need to make our strip here. The reason I'm doing small wiring butt connectors is because of this other side is probably 22 gauge, so we're gonna have to fold it in half as well. So we just fold this end over and make it one again. Black to black. Okay. Do you remember? Okay, through some more editing, we got the wire in the connector. And we're gonna go ahead with our last measure and splice. Hiya. Cut it, or strip it a little long to where we can twist them over. And we'll go ahead and heat shrink all of this and run it, tuck it down through, run it under the floorboard and onto our switches.
All right, guys, so we've been looming up wire. We figured we save y'all from the torment of that. So this is the battery feeds, 3 reds and 3 blacks with fuses that go to the relays right there. I hate to have y'all flapping around, but there's the 3 relays. So one's front lights in the bumper, one's work lights on the back, and we tied them all into one pair of battery connections, and I'm just looming this up. And then Mr. T is working on this situation here. So we came through the floor through the grommet right there and pulled them out. So these 2 are going to be toggle switch operated, and they're going to come out by the radio. So we're going to put the switch ends on them and then fish everything up to the radio. The other one, I got a little surprise I'll show y'all later, but it's going over here, and there's a reason why it's running through the doghouse with the shifter. And then only other thing we've been doing is in the headache rack and under the truck, putting some of the wires from the when we did earlier in loom and zip tying everything up. Y'all saw the bird nest of wires under here. That's all neatened up and looking good. The only thing that we have that is going to have to be done later wiring wise is we have our trailer circuit wires sticking out right there for the trailer plug. What I'm probably going to do is wire it in to a plug there, and also put a plug in the hatch for the gooseneck. I like to have the plug up there, just less chance of the wire catching on something if you turn it. So that's all we got going on right now, and we're going to be hooking up switches and trying to see, we're going to get power and hook our switches and test everything up in a little bit, and we'll come back to y'all and show you that. All right, well, there's our fronts, and all we did right here is tie in what I was showing you earlier, all the 3 hots to 2, and brought them hot and ground to the battery. I'm gonna change that out. So let's see what you got. What else you got plugged in? You got top lights, or you got back lights?
We can do top.
All right, let me go in the back here. All right, there's our working lights. How about the bottom? Back lights. Man, when you stand in front of these things, you're not lying, they'll blind you. I'm anxious to see. That means if I got work lights, we'll have to start working at night. If you can't see when you backing up to hook up a trailer, then you better call Ray Charles to hook that trailer up for you. All right, guys, well, that wraps up the LED light fiasco. We're not going to mention one damn thing about how we were ready 45 minutes ago to test the lights, and some jackass, which will remain nameless, confused red and black.
Hey,
So
you gotta quit with this we stuff, man. We got all this good.
I didn't say we. I said some jackass swapped the red and the black, and it wasn't. It was the less hairy jackass. So
No, we can.
Anyhow, so we got that done, and we're gonna suck them into the dash and set them up. I'm gonna show y'all. Let me come on this side. So we don't have a radio for this truck yet, but I have, trying to do this one-handed, I have a radio dash kit. So from this company, Nylite, they have this nice little bank of switches, and they're all daisy chained together with its own hot and ground you can do from an ADA circuit. and it fits right in here. Now it fits better upside down, but it makes for a really clean installation. I had this same setup in one of my old hotshot trucks, so we're going to do that here, and we're going to have, you know, front lights, back lights. Now what I'm going to do, we're working right here on the gear shifter, because in the spirit of keeping things alive, I saved the PTO shifters and the gear shifter out of my first winch truck from 40 years ago when I scrapped it. So I'm gonna put a different shifter in here, because this Ford one, for some reason, is real close to my knee, and low and reverse is jamming me up. So we're gonna make our own custom shifter from the old original winch truck that I started a tree business with, and that'll be a little nostalgic thing. So what I did on that old truck had, where's my switch at? My old winch truck had a, there it is.
There it was.
Well, we're doing a great job on production here today. So my old winch truck had a 2-speed rear end in it, and one of these switches was mounted on the switcher, on the gear shift. Man, it's too late in the day. This is mounted on the gear shifter as an, you know, to switch the electric module on the rear end. So I decided we have the backup lights that are on the tail lights, and they're actuated by the reverse switch, in, you know, that when you put it in reverse. But these down here are going to be activated by this switch, and I like that because I also have LED backups on the trailer. So if you're trying to get in somewhere and it's nighttime and you need to see where you're going, I have those backlights under the bumper pointed out a few degrees, and we have the lights underneath the trailer, and you can just reach down and hit this switch and it lights up all the lower backup lights. And the headache rack lights and the front bumper lights are going to be on this switch bank, as well as a camera and a winch control and something else. So that's the direction all this pile of mess is going with, and we finally got our shorts all fixed. All that ended up being was somebody had gotten in here and tapped into the harness, the Ford harness for the tail lights, to put running lights in the front of the bed. They spliced in and had a short there, so I fixed that. And then when we went to the LED lights in the back, which off all the time happens on these, hand me that blue relay up there. Inside here, inside behind the radio, let me get the camera pointing in the right direction, you're going to have a couple of relays, and this is one of them. So these are set up for the draw that the incandescent bulbs have, and if you having any issues with getting fast flashing, or it's putting out steady juice but making vibrating noises and stuff instead of just clicking on and off, is generally because the LED lights are acting up. So you can get one now, one of these that's specifically made for LED, and it'll say it on the housing, and that'll fix you up. So we got our fast blink fixed, our shorts fixed, so all the lights are working. I still need to put these ambers back on the front and get the dash put back together and clean it up a little bit. Well, this morning's project is a little personal one. I'm going to show you what we're working on and tell you the story behind it. So this is the Ford shifter. Now originally when they did that, you've got a concave and convex situation where this bolts up, and the geniuses that had this truck before bolted them up flat to flat. So I had a problem where this was always hitting my leg when I'd go into low and reverse, and we found out that it was put on incorrectly. Plus, the splines have got lost their glue and the damn knob keeps flying off. So, decided to do away with the forward stick shift. Now, in managing to keep the feng shui of this whole rig, we got this old oil field bed, which is best we can guess from the mid 70s at least. It's not in the 80s, I don't believe. And I had my old winch truck, my first one, which was a 64 Chevy. So we got the spirit of the oil field bed. We got our 7.3 situation here because we're mentally handicapped and got a fool with 7.3s. And then we decided, when I scrapped the old winch truck, we kept the old stick shifter. Now you'll love how we got this thing all mocked up down here. So what we did is we took a piece of 1-inch channel and drilled and bolted it to the tang on the transmission. And then this has a natural bend in it. And like I said, this was in a C60 Chevy. But I kind of wanted the high shifter. So, and then I have a little thing I'm going to show y'all that we're going to do with this later. But anyhow, we've been fiddling around with these clamps trying to, you know, again, if y'all run the ZF6, you know that it kind of goes under the steering wheel right next to your leg for low and reverse. And so we had to clock this a certain way where we're not hitting the steering wheel, or, you know, if you're in reverse and you're back in the trailer, and I don't mean to be fooling with y'all with my hand, but, you know, you're whipping the steering wheel back and forth, backing something up, and you don't want to be slamming your hand into the stick. So we were just kind of figuring the best way to do it, and with, you know, do what we got. We're probably going to have to do away with this, but that's just going to probably mean that we move our switches from the radio to maybe down here, which will be fine. And we're going to take this seat out later, and I have some bucket seats in. Thank you, sir, I appreciate it. So we'll have the valley in here open for the PTO shift cable, some tool bags, and we'll probably have our own drink holders instead of this. This is the chicken shit diving board one that is all beat to hell anyway, so that's gonna come out. So that's what I'm working on. So what I'm gonna end up doing down here, we got it clamped. I'm gonna mark it with the Sharpie so we don't lose the clock, and then I can tack it, and I'm gonna trim this down and kind of bring it in so it'll fit under a boot. And I'll have to see if I can find a boot that'll work on it. But anyway, that's my project for this morning, and I'll let y'all follow me along. We'll see if it works. All right, so we got this thing kind of redone. I took the get up in here where y'all can see the gap and everything. I just took I cut it a little shorter. I wanted to get a taper right here. It was a little taller, and this thing has a natural bend, so I just wanted to kind of match everything up. And so we cut a little pie out of here, a little triangle. I'll get a shot from the other side, and just clamped it all down. So that's pretty much how it's going to be welded, and then we'll figure a boot situation from there. Let me show y'all what it looks like from the other side. Okay, you can see the cut on by the tips of the vice grips where we ground it. We just cut a little pie out and bent it down, and I'm just, like I said, I'm just test fitting it. I saved this from that winch truck because I had a lot of miles in that winch truck, and kind of figured I'd use it for something else. So I guess my hands are still attached to the old girl, and just to do something different. I mean, if we don't like it, we can always pop it off and put the Ford one back on, but got to give it a little flavor. We're gonna clean her up a little bit. Got a few little paint scheme ideas and stuff. So let me get this off of here and see if I can get her welded up. All right, we're gonna put a little burn on him. Let's see what we got here. We'll go a little heavier than that, and that ought to work. see with this sun, and it's making for some creative looking welds. I guess that's gonna make for some creative looking grinder. We got them all buffed down, past the sand on the knob there, got 20-30 years of gradu off. Now we're gonna shine them up. I had to sand off the gear pattern, so nobody will be able to steal this truck. Anybody under 20 can't steal it anyway, or under 30. They don't know how to drive it. All right, we'll tape the knob up, and she's ready for a little bit of paint. Frame. Perfect. I got it. It'll work like that. Put the primer on him, and then we'll go run an errand and eat some lunch, and then come back and put some paint. Alright guys, well, I thought I had enough battery to hold us off until we got to this stage, but looks like I was mistaken. So we got this thing painted. I think the last thing y'all might have seen is the primer, and so what I'm shooting for here is mainly to aggravate Tristan, as he's not behind my little idea here, but that's okay. So what I want to do is keep the flavor of what we already got going. So I got some 1-inch tape, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna Let me put my, let's see. Alright. Anyway, what I'm trying to do here is put some stripes. Some 1-inch stripes. So I'm using a little piece of tape. And this might end up a little messy, maybe not, we're gonna see. Probably have to do some light coat so we don't get underneath the paint. So again, I'm just using a small piece of tape to give me my space, and then usually with tape you can kind of line up your edges, and that'll give you a pretty straight line. You got to kind of mash all this down, let that tape grab, or you'll get some bleed under. So anyway, on the gin poles, I kind of like the idea. I ran across some Kubota orange spray paint one day at Tractor Supply, and I like the Kubota orange, so I decided to incorporate that into the top of the gin poles, kind of like a safety thing, you know, you can see what's going on with it. So anyway, did that, and this is kind of mimicking the stripes we did on the gin poles. Let me get some other tape. We're gonna swap to some bigger tape here. Try and use our tape more efficiently. Hey Snoop. Hey Snoopies. You was sleeping? You've been napping on the porch, baby. You're supposed to be on guard duty, girl. What's up with all that sleeping? Alright. And I think that'll do. Alright. That should be masked up enough and give us our 3 stripes. And since this is a gear shifter and be a lot of grabbing and manipulating on here, once I get the paint down, we're going to shoot some clear coat over it, try and give it a tough coat. But let me get the paint. And so again, this is just all trying to keep the spirit of the winch truck alive, so to speak. I had my original winch truck, 1964 Chevy C60 2-ton, and that was my first winch truck and the last one that I cut up for scrap. And I just, you know, had a lot of fun in that old truck and a lot of gear jamming in that truck, so I figured, you know what, we had a nickname. The old truck was nicknamed Bertha May, and she was a mean old gal when she wanted to be. So figure we keep her spirit alive in this winch truck. So anyhow, that's a little touch of the orange. I'm gonna jump on a couple other little projects this morning. I'm gonna let that dry. I think I got a little too crazy with it. I should have did a lighter coat than that. But if it doesn't bleed under the tape, we'll be all right. We shall see. And we'll come back to this and do a reveal after we get another coat on it. And when that dries, we'll do another coat in a little while. When that dries, we're gonna come back with a clear. And then after that, should be ready to go back in the truck. And I'm kind of anxious because I'm just, for some reason, I'm not a fan of that low shifter. So this one's gonna be a lot more fun, I think. We'll see. All right, let me jump on something else. We'll come back to this in a minute. All right, well, it's time to do a little reveal and see if we did any good. Let us see. So we got Rust-Oleum primer, Rust-Oleum gloss black, and Kubota orange, and I think that's Rust-Oleum too. And then if this came out good and we don't have to touch it up, then we're gonna put some Rust-Oleum clear, and that clear will help us out with the bumping and rubbing and all the stuff that goes on. Couple of little glitchy things here. Might be able to get that straightened out. Let's get all of this off. I'm not going to be spraying any clear on the handle. I sanded that pretty good, and I think we're just going to call that good, because I'm worried that I'm going to create a situation where we're going to be having stuff peeling and irritating you when you're driving. So I don't know who put 14 miles of tape on here. May end up doing something with this knob, I don't know. I kind of like it. Like I said, I drove this old girl for about 20 years when she was in a C60, so hopefully we got a little bit more gear jamming fun. We may end up changing it. Always was a fan of the T-handles, like the Hurst handles. I had one in a Jeep a long time ago, so that was pretty cool. Alright, I think we're gonna roll with it like that. Alright, so we're gonna take this out of the jaw and pop out the magnetic soft jaws. Oh hell. And my paper towel is now stuck to everything. It came out pretty good, you know. We kind of just took that 1-inch channel and tapered it down, and then stuck paper towel all over the damn thing. Alrighty, we'll put him back on the hanger, and we're gonna shoot him with some. We're just using Rust-Oleum Universal Clear. I never tried this, but figured it might keep us from wearing this out. Now, I don't want this all blowing on the GoPro. So. And I don't know know how this lasts, so we're gonna put that like that and let it sit and come back and hit it with another coat in a little while. Alright guys, we got our finished stick shift here. At least finished as it's gonna be. I was kind of not too excited about something, couple like the coverage of the clear. Might needed to go more, but this is gonna have to come off because we still got to figure out what we're gonna do with for a boot situation down here. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with that, but for right now, this is gonna do. And I'm putting my own thing in backwards. How do you like that? We got, I know y'all been seeing the slab and stuff. I'm gonna do a little segment on shop stuff later on, but we may be standing up some columns for the shop this morning. I'm not sure if my guy's coming yet or not, but anyhow, we gotta have this truck ready to move in case he does. So we're gonna buzz this in. It is. All right. So the truck the stick shift came out of had a 2-speed rear end, and the shifter button was right here. So we have the backup lights. Let me walk y'all back here and show you. So we have the backup lights that are integral with the tail lights right there. Now those come on with when you put it in reverse. These under the back, which are kind of angled out a little bit and designed to shoot underneath the trailer, so that if you're pulling in somewhere at night, you got a culvert or something you need to see, you can flip them on. Those are going to be operated by the switch that's going to be up here, because this truck doesn't have a 2-speed rear end. So we got to figure out what kind of boot we're going to do here, because this is significantly skinnier than the Ford neck. Although I have to look at that boot again, because the Ford neck tapers. So if y'all, you can see we put just regular bolts with nylock nuts through there. And in case y'all are curious, the threaded portion of your Ford segment is in the handle itself. So we're still going to keep the handle, but I need to mic this. This is where the boot snugs up, and it sits flush here. But I need to get an OD on that, and maybe we can use a Ford boot. I don't know. And of course these knobs keep coming off. I don't know where my knob is. So that's all we did, was unbolt the Ford one, make this one. So at any point we want to go back, bing bang boom, we can swap it out. I kind of like the Ford boot because it has this inner boot that kind of seals the water and that kind of stuff and the heat, and I kind of like it better. But anyhow, we're gonna see what kind of boot we end up with. But for right now, I just needed a shifting truck, so now we got a shifting truck. Well, good morning, Mr. Snopes. How we doing? You like the stick shifter too? All right, guys. Man, all right, so we put this high. I'm gonna get a side shot of it, of the gear shift here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, maybe do like a little short video and just swapping the gear shifter. I still have to get a boot situation for it, and I've got a switch I'm putting on it, and we'll get into that a little later. But Anyhow, I'm digging this shifter. Not only just a cool situation of having my first winch truck's feng shui spirit, and this one is pretty cool, but also I'm digging the high shift points in it. Now we had to get rid of the cup holder because in 6th gear we were clipping the cup holder, but that's going to be cool. It had the crappy cup holder anyway, which is down there on the floor, which is nothing but a Dr. Pepper diving board. And I was going to put my switch bank over here with the radio, but we're just going to incorporate it in the hole. And this seat's going to come out. We're going to put 2 buckets in here, leave the floor open. So if we do that, then we'll have room for cup holders down there. So that facilitates this. And the only reason it's hitting 6th is because when it comes up in the reverse, I don't want to be whipping this thing around, driving a trailer and whacking my hand on the hitch. So anyway, for now, I think that's going to be it. That's how you can incorporate a non-Ford hitch into a Ford. This one's out of a 64 Chevy. All right, guys, let us know what you're working on. Hit us up in the comments. See something we can do or do better, let us know. If you need help with something, hit us up there too in the comments. Anyhow, I think that's going to be it for now. And thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.